I want to introduce to you our friend Charles Grove. He's not a stranger. He went to school here. His family lived here, many of them. He went into the Marine Corps the day he graduated. The day after he graduated, right from Surgoinsville High School, he's made his complete career there. And then he served as the curator at the Marine Museum at Quantico for, how many years was that, Charlie? 18 years. So he's a career Marine, and he's a Marine all the way, and he's an artist too, y'all. He really is. So, and he is. We've asked him to lay out our space for a plan where to put things and what order to put them in. So he's been working on that quite a bit. We came down, we took measurements and called back and forth and measured again, and so Charlie, talk to us. You're okay. You don't have to be formal. We're just regular folks. So you want me to go stand where your places you're talking about is presented? I'll be.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Point tiny jumps. That'll work. No thanks. I think I'm
okay. That's good.
All right. So what I put together is called a massing diagram. They gave me a whole stack of documents to read, and I tried to process as much as I could on the history of Surgoinsville and the story points that you guys wanted to highlight. So I want to say before I show you this that it's in pencil. That right now it's really cheap to make any changes because I've got an eraser in my pocket, and it's the first pass. So if it passes as is, I'll be really surprised. It's a beginning of a dialogue is what it is. So you guys can't see this from there, I don't think. Can you?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you come in through the front door, and over here to the right, where Johnny's about to stand.
I'm going to do it. Right here, I'm going to be Bannock Rear.
We offer a, there you go. We offer an introduction and an area map. One of the things in the information that you guys wanted to cover is where is Surgoinsville exactly, and all the little hamlets that make it up. So Longs Bend, etc., would be covered in that area over there. Why is Surgoinsville important? Would be covered in that area right there in a real short, brief introduction. And then along this wall over here, we talk about the river and the mills and the rail. It's the thing that joins all of our history together as best I can tell. Whether it's going back to the Revolutionary days and they use it as a thoroughfare, or back further when the Indians used it as their source of water, or as recently as the 60s when we still have people who fish there to make a living. So that story is covered right there. And in that story, we could discuss ferries, skiffs, fishermen, and other things. And I don't know what those other things are. Typically, when you start a design project, you've got a story that's pretty well fleshed out. And I don't have that yet. I certainly don't have it up in my head yet. So as I'm talking, if you have ideas and you want me to jot those down, I also have a pencil in my pocket. So don't be shy.
I think you can really consult with Jack about this because we have worked on a river project for months, and really, you know, it would have been completed except for COVID. But we have Jack wrote a fantastic history of the Holston River.
Okay.
And we have it, you know, just a lot of areas covered. So that
I can maybe tell you one thing. Ace Adams used to take a river skiff to go just up the river, just about where Jesse's Road comes out to the river, and there was a sandbar over there. He would get a skiff load of sand. So he commercially sold sand for sidewalks and found that, I don't know what all he did, but he did.
Before Home Depot.
Long before Home Depot.
Awesome. And then this area over here is where the archives are kept. So I thought we could put a case in front of it and highlight a collection of archival documents. So they could be enlistment papers or a medal citation or a birth certificate or something Doc Lyons wrote or something. A small collection of archival documents in a case right here. And then going into this back corner,
244 inches by long, and I forget what this was, 12 feet, I think.
yeah, it's about 12 feet by 20 feet. Visitors would come in, and these bars that are posts that you see behind you would have walls built between them. And we would talk about in this space where Mr. Bobo's standing, farming and tobacco. And then along this wall here where Johnny's standing, we talk about schools and churches. And then through this opening here, between this corner and that post there, we talk about from Paleo to Pioneers. And this is where the Ural collection would go. So we would have that whole corner over there dedicated to talking about the Cherokee, talking about the pioneers who were in the area, Mr. Surgoin, etc. And then Johnny, between those two electrical outlets back there,
Right.
we talk about the Civil War and how it impacted Hawkins County, how it impacted Surgoinsville. And then moving on around the corner, we would have on the opposite side of that imaginary wall there, we would have businesses, and that can include the blacksmith shop and the stores. And around the far corner, we could talk about families and home life. The Greenville Museum had a real nice exhibit on the Depression era, and I think we could do something similar to that. Pick a slice in time maybe and talk about family life that way, or talk about family life as it changed over time. Then in the corner we can talk about sports, and a little closer to the window talk about veterans. And then on the far side of the window, wrap it up with Doc Lyons. And then Johnny, on this side of that wall that would be there.
Be a wall here,
Yep.
so you'll have space here and over there.
Exactly. On the opposite side of that wall, we could talk about music. That's a big part of Surgoinsville. And from the documents I got, those are the key story points that I think that you wanted covered, and they're organized in a way that if you want to talk about it for a few minutes, we could write down some notes, and I could go back and adjust these drawings. But while you're thinking about that question, I'll just walk this around and show it to you.
We're even going to use the hall and get some photos and things right there.
Oh, good, would you? I hope as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right, he's been in the school.
It's gonna have to be. And I sent a picture of this to Teresa so she can email it out if you want. It leaves this area here open, so if we want to bring in class groups, third graders, kindergartners, whatever grades would want to come to the museum, they can organize there and then they can go around and do their scavenger hunt and find the things that their teacher wants them to find.
That big thing there will be over in that section. Big chest, yeah, we're just getting out there, we got better things coming from that.
Here's that entrance door that's behind you. There's the archive office, and back here's where your collection would go. And I've got it segregated so that it would start off with a brief story about the Cherokee, map of your dig sites, have your objects divided into arrowheads, spears and banners, stones, tools, pottery and shards, pipes and medicine tubes, amulet bars, and then trade goods. And then the trade goods would transition into talking about the pioneers. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. No, it won't.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
But it's a good problem to have. Then you can swap stuff out. So each time somebody comes, they can see something new. Correct. Is the library number over there? So, the drawing, as I said, is in pencil. And if you want to add something or change something, my ears are open and I'd be glad to hear from you now or later. I sent a copy of the drawing via email to Teresa, so if you want it, she can email it out to you. And I would love to get your feedback, because I don't think that these processes work best when one person does all the thinking, especially when the smart people are everybody else in the room.
Well, we've talked about, Jeff asked me, brought up a good point about rolling different things in and out often to keep interest going, you know, like photos and displays for certain things. Some things will stay where they're at for sure, like
it's a good standard practice.
That will not move, but the other things can, you know, you can change from time to time to stir up interest.
Right, it's a really good standard practice to change things out over time. If you build it and leave it, they'll come, but they'll only come the one time. If you build it and change things out on a regular basis, they'll come and they'll come back again because there's something new to see. So that magnificent collection that you have, we can swap things out so that every 6 months or a year, somebody comes back in and they see something new. We can link some of these things to other events that are going on in the country or the community, so that if it's Women's History Month, for instance, we highlight some women veterans or something along those lines. So there's things that you can do with your exhibits as you update them that will keep it interesting and fresh, and hopefully bring visitors back multiple times.